Hello and welcome back from Top of the Wall. My name is Mason Knopp, and I have another deck for you today. Today's Monday, so I want to talk about the meta. Meta Mondays. Perfect. And instead of tap.net, I'm actually at MTG Goldfish. MTG Goldfish keeps up with the meta and shows a lot of the decks that have won in tournaments and shows a myriad of decks. Far more, I think, than tap.net. However, I don't like its deck builder, so I prefer tap.net for actual deck building. But otherwise, to check up on the meta, you should probably go to MTG Goldfish to check that out. And the deck we're looking at today is Mardu Aggro. It is Kuldotha Boros, but it's splashing some black for the Shinobi Gang, and it has the Bajuka Bog and the Reaping Graves. Now, how this deck actually plans to win and function is through its Glinthawks and its core Skyfishers, which, when they enter the battlefield, they ask you to return something to your hand. So, of course, you choose one of your artifacts, and these artifacts, when they enter the battlefield, they draw you a card. So you get this kind of nice draw engine going and get this little bit of card advantage going over the course of the game, turn after turn after turn. Alchemist Vial is one that prevents a creature from attacking or blocking. Golden Egg can gain you some life as well as also fixing you. And Prophetic Prism is a filter for your mana, and it also draws you a card in addition to that. So the Glinthawk and the core Skyfisher both have flying, which make them really evasive and hard to block. So that's where the Shinobi Gang comes in. And Shinobi Gang, for 5 mana, it's a 3/2, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards 2 cards. Rather easy to block, doesn't have evasion on its own, but it has ninjutsu. Return an unblocked attacker you control to your hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from your hand, tapped and attacking. So you can end up returning the Glinthawk or the core Skyfisher back to your hand to get the chance to recycle one of these ETB effects to redraw the card and keep going, as well as put your opponent at some serious card disadvantage. The Palace Sentinels are really great in the longer games. They end up helping you on a stable board state by being a good blocker and drawing you a few cards over the course of the game using the Monarchy. Plus, with your flyers, it's unlikely that your opponent's going to be able to just poke at you in the air and steal the Monarchy from you. Plus, your creatures are able to actually poke them back and steal it if they try to get through. The Thraben Inspector is just a 1-mana creature, a good turn 1 play, rather strong, just a 1-mana 1/2, and it makes a clue when it enters. For removal, we got the 4 Lightning Bolt, 4 Galvanic Blast. If we have Metalcraft, it becomes a better Lightning Bolt, dealing 4 to any target instead of its 2. And we have the 1 Electricity for the annoying Boros rally deck that's in the format right now. It tries to put out a bunch of Squadron Hawks and tries to put out a bunch of 1/1s and a lot of tokens, but by using Electricity, we can blast them all away. Plus, there is an elf deck in the format, as always. It's always powerful and always annoying. There's plenty of 1/1s for this thing. This doesn't have a shortage of targets in most of our matchups. The last bits of removal are enchantment-based. Oblivion Ring enters the battlefield, exile any non-land permanent. And as long as Oblivion Ring is on the battlefield, it doesn't come back. Journey to Nowhere is the same way, but just for creatures. I'm perfectly fine with that. 2 mana, remove a creature. The other 2 cards in the deck that are non-lands are Prismatic Strands, which is a good fog. You just choose a color and you fog that one color. And its flashback is just tap an untapped white creature we control, and we get to flash it back. Very easy for us to do. Reaping the Graves is a Storm card. For 3 mana, we return target creature card from our graveyard to our hand with Storm, so we can end up playing one of these Alchemist Vials or Prophetic Prisms, getting our Storm count up to 1, maybe remove a creature, getting our Storm count up to 2, then play Reap the Graves, get a 3-for-1 out of the deal. Perfectly fine. I'm more than happy to take a 3-for-1. Now onto the mana base. We got 3 Ancient Dens, and we got 3 Great Furnace to help us reach Metalcraft. We have 2 Radiant Fountains to go with our 3 Boros Garrison, so that way we can gain a little bit of life as we go, help us against the aggro matches, help us stabilize a bit. And more importantly, remove annoying graveyards against those Skred Fairy decks. It's helpful. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. All the blue decks right now are trying to abuse Mystic Monastery. So this is a perfectly fine card to have. We have 1 Snow-Covered Mountain, 1 Snow-Covered Plains. The Snow-Covered part doesn't mountain. It doesn't mountain. It doesn't matter. We're not running Skred or anything that counts snowlands, so you can just use regulars. 4 Windscarred Crags to fix us, and if we start to flood, we can. We do have 2 cycling lands, Secluded Steep and Forgotten Cave, that we can just cycle away. Now to the sideboard, we got 1 Electricity, again, for more of those token decks and the small creature decks like Elves, we got 2 Gorilla Shamans to fight Affinity and the new Affinity combo deck. We have 3 Red Elemental Blast, or you can just choose Pyroblast if you want. They do about the same thing for blue decks, the counter matchups and whatnot. 2 Protection of Green for Green Stompy. Leave No Trace for Boggles. 2 Lone Missionaries to help against any kind of more aggressive decks and against Burn. Gains us quite a bit of life. Shenanigans. 4, of course. We gotta hate on Affinity. We gotta blow up some of the other decks' artifacts. We gotta get in some artifact hate somehow. 2 Standard Bearers to fight against enemy opponent's removal. And 1 Prismatic Strands, again for a fog against the aggro decks and against sometimes the counter matchups like Atog combo. And that is the deck. Later at 4 o'clock today, there will be a gameplay video coming out for this deck in action. So if you want to watch that, you should look in the description below. There should be a link, or check out my channel. You can subscribe and hit the bell notification, and it will notify you when that deck comes out at 4 o'clock sharp today. Thank you for watching, and come on in for that face touch.